like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
In a world where every movement on stage is magnified, analyzed, and replayed 1,000 times, it's often the smallest, quietest gestures that leave the deepest impact. Not the high notes, not the powerful choreography, but the fleeting, almost invisible moments that happen in between. The ones that aren't meant to stand out, yet somehow stay with you the longest. That's exactly why this moment feels different. Because in the middle of the intensity, the lights, and the overwhelming energy of BTS, something incredibly soft happened. Something so quick, so natural, that many might have missed it entirely. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. A simple movement, a quiet instinct, and suddenly, everything feels a little more real. There are moments on stage that most people miss, not because they aren't important, but because they're so subtle, so natural, they blend into everything else. Yet for those who truly pay attention, those are the moments that matter the most. And one of them happened when Jeon Jungkook quietly switched his microphone to the other hand, just to make sure he wouldn't accidentally hit Park Jimin. Simple? Maybe. But also incredibly meaningful. I feel you, Junk. I really do. That phrase perfectly captures what so many people felt when they noticed it. Because what Jungkook did wasn't just a random reflex, it was instinct. The kind of instinct that only forms when you care about someone deeply. His body reacted before his mind even had time to think, prioritizing Jimin's comfort and safety in the smallest, quietest way. In the middle of the dazzling lights, the explosive energy, and the powerful performance of BTS, there's another layer unfolding beneath it all. A silent language. One that doesn't need words, because it's built on years of understanding. Jungkook didn't hesitate. He didn't pause. He didn't calculate the movement. He simply moved the mic, naturally, effortlessly, as if it had always been his role to protect the space around Jimin. And that's what makes it so special. How to be Jimin? How to be loved and cared for by Jungkook? It sounds like a playful question, but underneath it lies something very real. Because who wouldn't want to be cared for like that? Who wouldn't want someone who notices even the smallest risks, someone who adjusts their actions without being asked, just to keep you safe? But maybe the answer isn't about learning how to be Jimin. Because what exists between Jimin and Jungkook isn't something you can replicate. It wasn't created overnight. It was built over years, through shared dreams, struggles, laughter, exhaustion, and growth. They didn't just work together, they grew up together. And somewhere along that journey, they became each other's quiet constant. Jungkook, known for his strength, confidence, and electrifying stage presence, reveals a different side when he's around Jimin. Softer, more attentive, almost instinctively protective. It's not something he announces, it's something he shows, again and again, in moments like this. And Jimin? He isn't just someone who is cared for, he's someone who creates a space where that care can exist. Through his warmth, his empathy, and the way he supports Jungkook in return, he builds a connection that feels balanced, genuine, and deeply rooted. That microphone moment is just one small example. But that's exactly why it feels so real. It wasn't exaggerated. It wasn't for the cameras. It was habit. And habits like that are born from sincerity. Imagine being so used to someone's presence that your body automatically moves to protect them, even in the middle of intense choreography, even with thousands of eyes watching. That level of awareness doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from closeness, from care that has been quietly growing over time. And that's when you start to realize, love, in any form, doesn't always have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it lives in the smallest gestures. Like switching a microphone. Like making sure the person next to you is okay. Like choosing, without thinking, to protect someone. That's why moments like this hit so deeply. Because they feel honest, unscripted, unfiltered. And somehow, that honesty is what makes them unforgettable. I feel you, Jungkook. It's not just about understanding what he did, it's about feeling the depth behind it. About recognizing that sometimes, The most meaningful emotions are the ones that are never spoken out loud. And how to be Jimin might not need a direct answer. Because being Jimin means being genuine, being kind, being someone who forms connections so strong that care like this becomes second nature. It's not something you learn overnight. It's something that comes from simply being real. In the end, that tiny moment reminds us of something important. The most meaningful relationships aren't always the ones that are most visible, but the ones that are most deeply felt. And in the middle of all the noise, all the lights, and all the chaos, Jungkook and Jimin showed the world something quiet, yet powerful. A simple movement, a silent instinct, and a kind of care so real, it makes everything else fade away, even if just for a moment. And maybe that's why this moment lingers longer than anything else. Not because it was loud or dramatic or meant to be remembered, but because it was real. Because in that split second, Jeon Jungkook showed a kind of care that can't be faked, and Park Jimin stood right beside him, as someone who has always been part of that quiet understanding. There were no words, no grand gestures, just a simple instinct to protect, to be mindful, to care. And somehow, that was enough. Enough to make people pause. Enough to make hearts ache in the softest way. Enough to make the world whisper, "I feel you, Junk. I really do." Because at the end of the day, it's not the biggest moments that define a connection, it's the smallest ones. The ones that happen without thinking. The ones that reveal what's truly in someone's heart. And in that single, fleeting movement, they reminded us of something we often forget. Real care doesn't need to be seen. It just needs to be felt. And maybe that's the part that stays with you long after the music fades. Because even when the stage goes dark, when the cheers slowly disappear, and when the world moves on to the next performance, that tiny moment still lingers, quietly, gently, like a memory you didn't expect to hold on to. It replays in your mind, not because it was spectacular, but because it felt sincere. There's something incredibly comforting about knowing that in a world built on performances, something so genuine can still exist. That amidst perfectly timed choreography and rehearsed stages, Jeon Jungkook can still act on pure instinct, and Park Jimin can still be someone he naturally looks out for, without hesitation, without second thought.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun.